Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Today we are going to be making some super stretch baits using this stuff. All right, so I know there's some other videos out online about making some super stretchy baits at home. Most of those are using some kind of silicone or some kind of other plastic or a couple other tricks there, but this stuff is actually made for that. This is made by Bait Plastics. This is supposed to give us that super stretchy, borderline indestructible bait. And we're going to put that to the test today. So we're going to try to make some homemade super stretch baits of our own. This is Bait Plastics Flex X200. It comes in these big containers. The only downside I know of to this product off the top of my head is it's a little expensive. This container, I believe, was 75 bucks. So it's definitely more expensive than your regular old plastisol. Now, there's not much information online about this stuff at all. That's kind of what we're here to figure out today, is to make a nice review of this and then show you guys how to make super stretch baits at home. So the one thing you're going to notice when you first order this online or buy it is it says do not microwave right on the container. There's a bunch of bad reviews saying that this doesn't microwave well. Well, it's not designed to, so we're not even going to try that in this video. I'm going to go straight for the hot plate, and I will set that up now. All right, so this stuff kind of just looks like almost like slushy snow. We're just going to dump some of this in our pot and kind of go from there. All right, so I'm just going to get this heating up, and we'll let's get into some details about what we're going to do today and what this stuff's about. So for today's test, we're going to inject this in one color, just a couple different molds. I'm going to shoot all my soft plastic grub molds for striped bass and fluke fishing. I'm also going to inject my trout bait mold. So this is going to be part one of the test. We're going to see how this stuff shoots, how it reacts to everything, how it works, how stretchy it is, all that fun stuff. And then I also want to do another test a couple months down the road. I ain't going fishing anytime soon. Just showing off how it actually fishes and a review after actually using it to fish with. So we're just going to let this heat up right now. We're doing one color today. That's going to be pearl white. And like I said before, there's really not too much information out there online. There's a couple different gripes people have with this stuff so far, but I'm hoping it's not that big of a deal. The one thing would be the microwave. You can't use this in a microwave, but these baits also should last quite a bit longer than your average soft plastic, so you shouldn't have to do this as much, so I don't really mind doing that at all. The other gripe people had with this stuff is, other than the price, is the fact that you cannot mix this with other soft plastics, which is the same thing if you ever used Zmans before. They're elastitech. It's a different type of plastic, and they will react with each other and cause it to fall apart. The only thing I am a little bit worried about, people had complaints about, would be the heat. So apparently this stuff does not react to heat well. I'm going to go back on Z-Man again. If you've ever used that stuff before, you'll know that if you leave that sitting out in the sun, it will melt and cause you issues. So I'm hoping that it's just the same as that, and regular heat won't bother it. But if you leave it in your car or something, or sitting out in the sun, then it might melt. That's going to be more of the part two test. So what I'm hoping for this is to basically be able to make those super stretch baits at home. I'm a huge fan of those. I use those more than anything now whenever I'm using soft plastics. I think they have a ton of advantages. Number one is going to be that super stretch. So these baits are so much softer and they have a ton more action than your regular plastic bait. And since they're so stretchy, they're also a lot more durable. So this is going to be hopefully as soft as your softest plastisol, but as strong as your hardest plastisol. So you get both ends of the spectrum there. You get a nice soft bait with tons of action to it, and it's also extremely durable. The other part I like is that this stuff is floating. So if you're doing any type of drop shotting, finesse, Ned rig, anything like that. If you had regular old plastisol, that bait, once it hits the bottom, it's just going to be sitting dead on the ground. Let's use tube bait, for example. You have a tube bait made out of this stuff. When that bait's sitting on the bottom of the water, all those legs are going to float up and then fluff around in the water, giving it some more action while you're not really doing anything. And then the other thing I like about this stuff, which I really can't prove in any way, and I don't have any like scientific information about it, but I do believe that whatever formula this plastic is, it's some kind of thermoplastic elastomer. I think it absorbs the scent much better and releases it than regular plastisol. So I'm just going to keep letting this cook. We're going to be using Dead On Plastics Pearl White for this, and then I'll get the mold set up and we'll inject them when this is done cooking. The only other thing I read online about this is that the set temperature is a little bit higher than normal plastisol. So this, they want it up to 400 degrees to cook. So we're going to have to go a little bit hotter for that. All right, I think we're ready. So I'm going to do this the same way I would with normal plastic. I'm going to try to stay out of the way with the camera. We'll suck this up and burp it. And let's see how this works out. I'm going to top these sprues off. We'll hit this mold. All right, just because I've never used this stuff before, I'm going to give it an extra long cool down time, and I'll see you guys when this is ready to demold. All right, we're going to do, I changed my mind a little bit. We're going to do a couple more injections of this. I got some baits I'm prototyping I want to check out. I designed this new soft plastic bait for Fluke. So that's with the gray mold, and then the clear mold's going to be the other size of the Fluke rub. One thing I did notice about the last shot is that spruce sucks up quite a bit. I don't know if my temperature is a little bit off or if it's just the way this new plastic's going to be. So I'll babysit this and top it off, and we're going to do one more injection. Okay, we're going to inject our last test mold now, and then I'm going to demold all these at the same time after that. All right, I'm going to give everything a while to cool off, and then I will see you guys when we're ready to demold everything. So unfortunately, when I recorded myself demolding all of these molds we injected, for some reason there was no audio there. Don't know what happened there, but this stuff came out pretty good. As far as the plastic itself goes, it's super soft, super durable, everything I was hoping for. I have no complaints there. These baits should have a ton of action, and they should also be super durable, and they are very soft. They're softer than any plastisol I've used before, and they are stronger than the hardest plastisol I've bought before. Now, the only issue with this is we did run into a little bit of issues with some air infiltrating the baits. For some reason, a lot of the baits had giant voids in them or air bubbles, and some of them were hollow from all the air that got in the mold. Originally, I was going to kind of give up there and then just try it again in like a part 2 type setting, but I decided to give it another shot and try some new stuff I read online to correct those problems, and I think I got it pretty much figured out, so we'll get into that now. All right, so I was going to end this video before, but I thought it was pretty lame without giving it another try. So I did some digging online, and I might have figured out our problem. I think number one, I didn't heat this hot enough. And number two, I don't think I left it heated for long enough. So this actually hit the 400 this time, unlike last time. It's starting to cool off now. And I also let this heat up for a pretty long time. Way too long. That's why we see all this scorching. So that should have hopefully gotten rid of any air bubbles that are in the mix. So we're going to give this another shot. We're also going to inject this very, very slowly, which will hopefully give all the air enough time to escape. And then we're going to put as much pressure as I can on it. And I'm just doing this extremely slowly. And then putting quite a bit of pressure on it. All right, I'll top off these sprues. And I'm just going to sit these sprues, hopefully going hotter, help this out, and we'll get some nice baits with no denting or air pockets in there. Also, what I found out about this stuff is you can see this is scorched. This stuff is very resistant to scorching because I wasn't paying attention, and this doesn't look too bad, and I got this up to 550 degrees. So don't do that, but this stuff can handle quite a bit of heat. It's only barely yellowing. And I'm just going to babysit these sprues, and I'll see you guys when everything's cooled off. All right, so let's see how try number 2 went. So all I really did was go hotter and inject this much slower. It comes apart a lot easier, that's for sure. Was not expecting that. And look at that. We have a solid bait. No air cavities in here. Another solid bait. Little bit of denting. But I think that's because this mold, the sprue connection is not the greatest on there. And look at that. Another bait with no air cavity. Love to see it. Let's check out the killie bait. No air cavities again. All right, just what I love to see. So I think we got that dialed in pretty good. I do think I got to work on my sprue design a little bit. We are getting a little bit of denting still, but that's something that I've had issues with the regular plastisol too. This one's got kind of a gnarly dent in there. But I think my sprue design's too narrow for these molds. Regardless, these came out really good now. We got this dialed in. All we got to do is heat this up a bit more and then inject a lot slower. That way we get all the air out of our baits. But look at that. This is our final product. I can't even show how far it stretches on camera. That's how far it stretches. I'm really excited to use these. And I'm glad we got it to work in this video. So the next time I use this stuff, I'm still working on some new soft plastic molds, and I'm still working on redoing a bunch of my old stuff and getting it dialed in perfectly. And once that's all done, we're going to inject them all in a bunch of different colors using this super stretch stuff. With that being said, thank you guys for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video.